Maybe someday for sideband sweepstakes or something. Who knows?
I think we're going to have a dedication ceremony. I'm aiming to have it um, the school club roundup, the week of school club roundup, or that weekend next fall. We need to get that in the calendar. But yeah, if we have that dedication, everyone's welcome to come and operate for the week.
You should take an old vacuum tube and smash it over the station to
There you go.
That's right.
to
That's
launch it.
right.
Don't you have to find like an admiral's wife or something to do the smashing? Isn't that how that
Right.
works?
The
I don't
dean.
know.
Oh no, his wife. There you go. And
There you go.
Anthony. Have Anthony come.
Anthony.
All right, great. Do we have the recording running? I missed that if I did.
It is.
It is
Okay.
recording.
It is.
One other quick favor before I forget, Nathaniel, if you get a minute, take the call next week off the ham site calendar for the 8th, because Ed and I will be gone. So
I will do that. Yes.
thank you. All right, great. Okay, welcome everyone to the February 1st. It's February, and today in Cleveland we had a very unusual astronomical phenomena. There was this big orange ball in the sky, and we have not seen that since the middle of December. So I was close to calling who's those guys in North Dakota that track Santa Claus? NORAD. I was going to call NORAD and ask them what it was, but it's gone now.
Yeah,
We're back to cloud.
Thank you for confirming that. We still have yet to see it.
So anyhow, it's out there still, thankfully. All right, let
That's
me
why this-
flip over to the agenda real quick.
Yeah, Gary, can we do the second item first? Can we do
What's
that?
the second item?
Regarding the open meetings, because Mackenzie's got to run at 4:30.
Okay,
So-
we're gonna do Ed first anyhow. So Ed, just jump in. Go ahead, take it away.
Okay, yeah, I mean, just this, if you have an agenda, it's the second item, is that what we're looking to do is that nearly all of the presentations that we've done, which are nearly 70 when you look at the full list, have been done primarily aimed and directed at clubs. What I'm trying to do as we get closer to the April 8th date is maybe set up 1 or 2 general Zoom meetings. Nathaniel, I'm looking at you here too, because obviously this is obviously maybe a command performance if we can get a lot of people and really sort of tie together all the promotion, really leverage a lot of the podcasts that we've spoken with, to do a blurb for us that on, let's make it up, March 15th on Zoom, there'll be a general presentation on HAMSI and the April and the SEQP and everything else that's going on. So I'm looking at maybe 1 or 2 dates ahead of the April 8th event that we're all in the clear. So if there's Q&A and if there's requests for presentations and everything else, that we may be able to handle it, just as a one-off coming off of those 2 dates. So if everybody's with me, that's what I'm looking to do right now. So.
Speaking of ahead of the date, I was looking through the slides that you had done, Gary. And
Yes.
you've labeled the total eclipse picture as April 8th, as if it had you were pressing it.
I missed that, David. Should I change that?
Oh,
Is it
well,
something
you
I
have
need to-
pictures of the annular eclipse and the total eclipse. And
Yes.
you label them with the dates of October and April. And of course, April's in the future. So how could you have gotten a picture of it?
Well, we're I guess we'll have to think about that.
He's in Cleveland. He imagined it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a disconnect. I'm not sure how to change that slide, but I know what you're trying to show.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate that.
So.
So Ed's got a good idea. So I'm thinking if we do this, we would probably create a page on the website with an RSVP form, because you don't want to take the Zoom link and just send it out there into the wild, because you don't know what kind of goofballs are going to show up. But if people log into the website and just, 1 or 2 question form, who are you, what's your email address, and then we could send out the link just before the event. I think that's the way to do it. If somebody's got some better ideas, I'm open to it.
Yeah, so I'm supposed to have I'm going to get the Zoom, the Zoom large meeting license soon. I need to fill out the form, the requisition form tonight. That might actually include a registration page for it.
That'd be great.
In terms of sending the link around, we essentially do that with the HAMSI workshop, and we've been fortunate. No one's ever abused it. But we've had the registration through that same system on hamside.org, and yeah, we've never had any problems.
Okay,
And
we'll,
the host of the Zoom session has a tremendous amount of power too. So like if there is a problem, it's very easy to kick somebody off, and then you can like lock down this session, and there are things you can do. So,
Okay.
you know,
All right, I'm good with that. So, yeah, so Mackenzie, you're on board with it too, right? So just, so that we know, okay, so, once we've got the finalized dates that we can, sort of put it on the calendar. So we do it. So, yes, I was looking sort of like we can really do a roadblock, between, I guess, the social media sites, podcasts that we've worked with, obviously our own website and other lists that we've mailed out to that hopefully we can cover a lot of ground and get a lot of people who are not club related that we can bring in under the tent for this. So.
yeah, that's a
you.
good idea.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. So otherwise, I guess it's back to me to the top, right, Gary, or what?
yeah, do you want to pick a couple of weeks, Ed? Just so, I mean, you
Yeah,
and I, our
I
time's
was
more
sort of
flexible.
picturing, I mean, just in terms of how sort of people plan their lives, if we're looking about 2 weeks out, okay, because I think a week out, it may be a little too close, for people. Okay, 2 weeks out and maybe, I mean, where are we now? April 8th. So we look at maybe like at March 8th, sort of 4 weeks out. So 8th and, make it up like the 21st, right around in there. Obviously, there's events. Obviously, Cleveland's going to be in that window. So we
Yeah,
need to figure
Cleveland's the
out what that works.
21st.
Yeah, so we need to
22nd, yeah.
figure out something so that works. But there may be an also good opportunity to promo the Cleveland conference with at least the first one. Okay, depending on how the calendar falls. Okay.
Right.
So that's all good. Yeah, thanks for that, because I mean, I just, I think, the response with the clubs have been great and they keep coming in. But there's a lot of hams who are not club affiliated, and also as I learned from my buddy Sid Caesar, NH7C down in Potomac, that there's a lot of individual hams who, he's used his newsletter to get out to, to league members who are not club members. So I think that's been helpful as well too. So otherwise, if it's back to me, I've just got a couple of items in terms of importance. Obviously, we talked last week that, all the publications, all our copy for publications are in. It's February 1st, which was the deadline for, I think, probably 2/3 of all the stuff that we had. And knock on wood, okay, no one's pushed back yet, from the publication side. So I think we're good for all the copy that's been submitted to. So thanks, everyone. Look at Mackenzie and Ron and everybody, Gary, in terms of stuff that they've done. So, this is a case where no news is good news. And I think, I think all good. General Zooms we talked about. We're doing a little bit more outreach in terms of some specific clubs, like PVRC, which Gary did, YCCC. I've got on my list to reach out. I dropped a note today to the Society of Midwest Contesters. Obviously big group in a key area in terms of reaching out. If you've got a major contest group that you think I should reach out to, please let me know and I'll do a personal invitation. We have a club list that we have done mailings to as recently as Tuesday, just as a reminder to save the date and get on the air, that type of thing. But obviously asking for a specific presentation if you're available. But if you've got a contact at a club that's a contest club and you want me to reach out individually, I will do that. So, other than that, in terms of podcasts, I think I mentioned last week just how things fly, is that we're going to be on the ICQ podcast in the UK for March. I've also pitched Ham Radio 2.0, and it seems I've got a favorable reaction. Obviously, that's a relationship what we've had, so hopefully we can continue to pick that up going forward. Let's
That
see.
one's Neil Rapp, right? 2.0,
Yeah, it's Neil
is that
Rapp.
Neil?
Yep. So, I got a response back, so which I think is okay. So, and otherwise, Mackenzie and I took offline, sort of the promos for Cleveland and also reminders on the SEQP. And just to fill myself, Nathaniel, you did Anchorage. Is that coming up tonight or is that last night?
Yeah, that's tonight, 11
Tonight,
p.m.
yeah.
Eastern.
Okay.
And yeah, 7 p.m. Alaska time.
Okay. So good luck tonight. Stay awake, right?
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it should be good.
So otherwise, I think that's about it so far, unless anybody has any questions. I mean, I think we're up to speed. I mean, we're sort of in between the break now before we get back, to all sort of like, the short-term reminders, whether it's through the league's website. Bill KATE helped with the section managers. We got a piece out through the PR people with Sierra Harrop about 2 weeks ago, and she's been a good supporter for us going forward. And we've got our meeting next week on the PR committee. So that's it from my end. So more than I wanted to say, but time is what it is. So anyway, back to you, Gary. Mary Lou's got a question.
Okay, no, I have an announcement. I want to thank Gary for these cards. Yesterday I went to the physics club at Montclair State University and I gave out another dozen of these. And most of them are not ham radio operators at all, but they have an uncle who is or something like that. So they're going to get out through that.
That's great.
It's amazing some of the connections that people make. And I don't know if I shut my video off. Let me turn off my video real quick, see what happens. Yeah, there you go. There's my avatar. So a couple of days ago, I was on my local club's Zoom meeting, and it's a repeater club, public service events. Nobody, I don't know if any of them get on HF ever, but anyhow, I had that avatar up when I was listening to the meeting. And when the original speaker got done and answered his questions, we went on, somebody piped up and asked the president of the club, he goes, hey, he says, I see Gary's here from Hamside. I saw a presentation by those guys in Dayton. Could you have him talk a little bit about what he's doing during the eclipse? It's like, holy cow. So just sometimes a simple thing like that and make it, and I, Ed talks about this all the time. You get yourself out there, you put your name out there and stuff sticks, and it really does. So interesting story. All right. Let's see, so we covered all our articles and stuff. One thing that was mine from last week, Ward helped me out, N1MM. The developers have updated N1MM for the current dates and times of the contest, so we'll be fine when April comes. So that's one thing crossed off the list. Don't have to worry about. Orlando Hamcation, of course, next week. Ed and I will be setting up Thursday afternoon. I know of at least a couple of people who've said they're going to stop by the booth. Ed, you've gotten boxes galore, right? You got a box from Salisa today, I think. That's
Yes, I did. Yeah, I've got.
Yeah.
If I turn my camera. Go ahead.
Can you open it?
No, I didn't open it. I'm trying not to open anything till we get there. So in case something.
I don't know. You should do an unboxing right now on camera.
I know what this is.
I haven't got a
yeah.
cutter or enough room here to do it. So.
Are you sure? I mean, and it comes in a snazzy carrying case too. So I think it's a good thing to yeah, you should, if you can do it, you should unbox it.
I've got behind me, I've got nothing but boxes and tubes that are heading for Orlando. So we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a lot of pictures when we get down there. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, me too. I opened it up a little bit. It looks really nice.
Well, good. Yeah. In addition to all the other, the banners and posters and stuff I sent Ed, he's got binder clips. We've got wire going down there. We've got Gorilla Tape, all the stuff that I've seen you use in the past, Nathaniel. So I tried to replicate our kits. So
that's
since
great.
It worked. All right. Any questions on Orlando? Anybody else that might be going there? We'll be in the North Hall. I think we're in 189. So you'll find us, I hope.
Yeah, I could always use volunteers.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like primary season. We got to press the flesh, Ed, right? So.
Yep. Shake hands,
we got no
kiss
promises
baby.
to make, but
yeah,
we can't promise anything.
Or kiss baby, or shake shake hands, kiss babies, right? Or the other way
Yeah,
around,
that's exactly
so.
right.
Yeah.
Are there any questions anybody might have? Of course, the Hamside workshop, as Nathaniel said, the abstract page, we're getting abstracts in, we're getting registrations in. Any questions on that? Otherwise, we'll just move on. All right.
If you have any interest in giving a presentation or a demo or something, please submit an abstract.
And that's true, because the abstracts can be speaking in front of the entire group in Eldred Theater. There can be in the poster sessions, which will be held in a building called the Think Box, which is a pretty interesting place. And demos and stuff can be set up there and whatnot. So there's a lot of different opportunities to showcase whatever it is you're doing or what your talents might be related to Hamside. So it's not all just speaking.
That's right. Yeah. So if you have any way that you want to present or participate or something in Hamside, just submit an abstract. You can explain what you want to do in the abstract box, and the committee will look at it.
Yeah, the more the merrier. I don't know that we've ever turned many people away. We've always found room to fit people in, I think so.
Yeah, we've done a pretty good job of that.
Yep, it's fantastic. Okay. One thing that I didn't have on the agenda, and Greg, I hope if you don't mind speaking about the TDOA event a little bit, because Gregory's been jumped in, and now that he's feeling a little better and able to participate a little more, he's been working with Steve Serwin, but taking some initiative to check in with the people who signed up last year and stuff. So any feedback, Greg, at all, or?
Yeah, I received a few, callbacks and saying, sure, still want to participate, blah, blah, blah. And I've also found that a number of people who signed up for this TDOA event don't have any idea what the TDOA event entails in terms of transmitting or recording and receiving and that type of thing and sending files. So one by one, and it's a small group. It's I think there's probably about 13 or 14 of us in there so far. I'll straighten them up individually and just making an attempt to and potentially, get somebody else interested. I don't know how to further the cause for the TDOA event, but with the people who have signed up, I think perhaps we can make some sense out of it and provide some reasonably good data to Steve Serwin and hopefully he can make some sense out of it to promote the science.
So,
That's
so Greg, I
wonderful.
was interested in what sort of geographical distribution you have in these 15 people. Are they all in New Mexico? Or are they all over the states or what?
No, and there's some in Germany and that type of thing. What I would like to do is to plot everybody on a Google map and then overlay the Eclipse on that and try to make some sense out of the idea behind the TDOA is that there are pairs or a round table and that we try to hit the darkness from all different kinds of sides. And so sorry about the voice. So I'll lay out who we are, where we're at, and perhaps try to suggest that these two people, test that type of thing. We'll see how it goes. I'm just getting back into it, and like I say, I was kind of disturbed that two of the responses to my email last night to the group indicated that they were confused as to what the event actually was, even though there's a wonderful page that you can get to via the hamsci.org. A lot of people don't understand, so we'll work it out and try to make some good science out of it.
I think for my part, Steve, we can put a little bit of information about the what Steve observed and stuff from last year, and that may, and once we do that, or I'll do that. I mean, Steve sent me the document last night. Once we do that, we'll put a news article on the front page of the ham site and the landing page and that sort of thing. So we can do a few things from the website, I know, but your kind of efforts are invaluable. Somebody that takes a personal interest in getting something done and then reaches out and contacts people. Even if, you follow the 80-20 rule, right? Maybe 80% will follow through and the 20% will follow off. That's way better than we were if we didn't have the 80. So
and it's reasonable because right now it's a small group, and and if we can make some good science out of it, it'll be great.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Greg. And I can also say that I'm trying to recruit an undergrad student to be dedicated to this part of the project too. I have a student who was in my digital signal processing class last semester, and he's quite bright. And the class I had last semester, I had them work with Steve Serwin to do some Jupyter notebook analysis of the data that he had collected. And so this, I have a meeting with this student who was in that class tomorrow, and I'm hoping that he's going to take the position of being the student dedicated to this project. So then he would be responsible for sending and receiving transmissions from Scranton and helping with data analysis and other things that group might need. So hopefully he can help also.
That's the point. It's a collective effort, right? We got a lot of different people trying to make it work. and then following up on the back end once we've got the data in hand. So that's very rewarding to watch that. All right, good. All right. Thanks for jumping in. I didn't give you any warning or notice that I was gonna call you today, so I appreciate you stepping up. Okay, the last thing I had is a question partially for Nathaniel, but the rest of the group can noodle on it too. So I'm working on deploying the Grape 2 stations. We've got roughly 30 that we're going to send around the country, the Midwest and the East for the most part, but also in other areas. And that's all well and good. That's coming along. But we've also, I know we've HamSci and our friends like with Rob Robinette and whatnot. We've got some other hardware out there that might fit the bill so far as doing our ionospheric research and stuff. The RX-888 Clementine, I know, is the first kind of thing I think about. When people approach us, I guess, Nathaniel, I mean, just like Kent up there in Alaska, sounds very competent, very willing to help. You'll be speaking with them tonight. How do we decide, or do we figure out if kind of what hardware package or what research package, I guess, is right for these guys?
I'd say it's kind of a hard decision. I think you have to kind of talk with people and see what we can come up with what's best based on their location, their technical expertise, their level of funding. Like, we have money to send out Grape 2s, but we don't necessarily have money to help people build Grape 1s or to put on RX-888s. So I think there's a lot of things at play. I think we do want to have some of the original stations that have the Grape 1s. I think that we do want some of them to simultaneously have Grape 1s and Grape 2s. I think because I'm not convinced that we have all the bugs worked out of the Grape 2s yet, but so I think it's just going to be mixed. I think we just do the best we can. So if there's going to be some judgment calls, and we'll get some good data and do the best we can.
Okay, so that's fine. I mean, that makes sense. What that tells me is we need to at some point between now and the workshop, I suppose, work on our RX-888 story. I mean, personally, I haven't been involved with that at all. I haven't been on the calls on Monday nights. So if when people maybe contact us through the HamSci email address and whatnot, I don't feel comfortable talking about the RX-8088 yet, and I probably need to get to that point. So,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, and me too. Like I'm not running one myself yet, and I just know what I've heard through Gary, and I've been looking, or not Gary, through Rob Robinette and Franco, and from sitting on those calls. I'm hoping in the near future I'll be able to actually run one myself too. So.
And obviously Phil Karn will be at the workshop, and as will others. So that'll be maybe a potential time to put our heads together on this kind of thing too.
Yes.
So, all right, another unabashed plug for the workshop there. So okay, great. All right. Mackenzie had to take off. It was 4:30. She's got to go study. She was telling us about her her studies, and if you're not into the biological sciences, it's really something. Let me tell you. Okay. Good. That covered all the stuff I wanted to on the agenda. Does anybody have any questions, open items, or things I may have missed that they want to bring up?
Yeah, I don't know if we want to have this during the open discussion or if we want to have it afterward. But I might want to talk to you a little bit more about the scoring.
Okay. Yeah, I can stand for a few minutes afterward. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, maybe just one other quickie is that
Sure.
I'll get a note around, to the list. We've got some nights where we've got presentations that people have asked us for, but we haven't necessarily assigned a presenter, okay, to them. So if you've got it, I'll send the dates around. And if you've got an open night and are willing to help us, that would be great. Take a little bit of the burden off, particularly as we get into really peak season here. So and that's all I have. So I'll get a note around to everybody with the open dates and the names of the groups. So.
All right, sounds good. Okay,
I'm
everyone,
free
if
to
there's
do.
nothing, Gary, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just tell Ed I could be free for some of the dates and send
That'd be
them to me
great.
to take a
I'll
look
get
at
a
it.
note around. Yep, that was my
you.
referral back to you. So, okay,
Okay.
thanks. Mhm.
Perfect, good, okay. All right, if there's nothing else, we'll shut off the recording. We'll call it a wrap for a couple of weeks, and next week Ed and I will be working, and whoever else wants to show up in person instead of on Zoom. So doing our thing live and in person. So
We'll all come back. Well, the two of us will come back with a tan, guaranteed.
yeah,
If we have to
Have a
sit
great
outside the booth, we'll do it.
Have a great time. I think
Yeah.
that's really nice. Oh, I do have one other thing that people may be interested in. I can bring up really quickly. Joe Cuba and I think Gareth are at the American Meteorological Society meeting this week. And Joe Cuba is giving a presentation about the SAMI 3 and the Eclipse. And so if you like, I can share with you his presentation. Let's see here. AMS.
We should also add it to our list as well, too. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this is, yeah, I'm getting this. Okay. So this is Joe Cuba's presentation that he's giving at the American Meteorological Society meeting, and it's about the SAMI 3 and the 2 eclipses, and you've seen some of the October eclipse results already. And so everyone is very familiar what an eclipse is. And so he takes the SAMI 3 model and he applies an obscuration mask to that model. And here is the math behind his obscuration masks. He has a different one for the total eclipse and a different one for the annular eclipse. And these are the technical parameters that he's feeding into SAMI 3. So there's something called a ionospheric potential pattern for both the northern and southern hemispheres. So he's using a statistical potential from something called the Weimer model by Dan Weimer. And then he's setting F10.7 to about 148 for October 14th, 2023, and that should be actual. And then he's got April 9th. I think it should be April 8th, but he's setting that to 129. And of course, we don't know what that is yet. This is how he's splitting up the, he's doing 304 different kilometer, different height levels, 124 different magnetic field lines, and 360 longitudinal degrees. And he's doing both the no eclipse and an eclipse case, and then he calculates the differential TEC where he takes the eclipse SAMI 3 run and subtracts off the no eclipse SAMI 3 run. And so here's the path for the October annular eclipse that we just had. And here are the snapshots of the results from SAMI 3. And we, of course, have seen this in movie form already. So this is differential TEC of the ionosphere. And the thing that he was most interested in were these equatorial plasma bubbles that show up at the very end of the eclipse. And this is now in percentage differential total electron content. So it shows a very similar pattern, just brings out some different features. Here's a vertical TEC at different locations that he decided were important. And I'm not sure where those locations were. I think they're, so this, okay, this is October model. So that's the red here is the model. And then the green line is actual observed vertical TEC measured by a receiver on the ground. So, and these are different GPS receivers. And so you can see that in many cases for the eclipse period, the model agrees well with the observations. At least right during the eclipse, it looks like there's some disagreement before and after. And I can only speculate why that might be, but the data suggests that the ionosphere recovers faster than the model predicts, so that's kind of interesting. And then he also shows there are enhancements in total electron content in the conjugate regions. So not only do you see a drop off in the TEC where the eclipse is happening, if you look at where the ionosphere is connected by the Earth's magnetic field lines in the other hemisphere, you actually see enhancements. So Sammy, you see that the actual observed TEC. So the SAMI 3 model also shows enhancements, but not as large as the observed. The base case no eclipse day could be different, and the SAMI 3 model does not include the eclipse neutral wind modification. So there are some physical factors that are not included in the model, and maybe that's what's accounting for these differences. So here are his predictions for April. And here you can see, here's the differential total electron content from SAMI 3. And it starts off pretty normally. And the thing I thought was very interesting was that when you get through what we think is the equatorial atmospheric anomaly, you see that drop off there, and it kind of bifurcates the effect. And then here you can see the enhancement in the conjugate hemisphere that he was talking about before. And here it is with percentage instead of differential numbers. And let's see, and this is just total electron content, not differential. It's a little harder to see there. So here's this discussion. So for the annular eclipse in October, he saw a decrease in total electron content that was in reasonable agreement with the data at low to mid latitudes, up to 40% TEC change. The total electron content enhancements are observed at the magnetic conjugates. We talked about the equatorial plasma bubbles formed just after sunset in the Atlantic sector. For the upcoming, should be 8th April 2024. I'm sure you'll hear about this at the meeting, at the AMS meeting. Maybe he'll get the presentation fixed. I can actually respond to him because his talk may be later in the week. But anyway, so he sees a decrease in total electron content, low to mid latitudes up to 30%. The TEC decreases bifurcated in latitude because of the F region peak, and the TEC enhancements are observed in the Southern Pacific sector. And so he lists improvements, design a more realistic extreme ultraviolet mask that takes into account the differences in spectral bands and geomagnetic factors. So for instance, altitude and eclipse path, and then also the thermosphere response. So get those like neutral winds in there. So something from the GITM, the Global Ionosphere Thermospheric Model, and TIE GCM, which is also another thermosphere ionospheric electrodynamics general circulation model. So that's his presentation at the AMS meeting, and some modeling results of the eclipses.
Pretty slick. I'm going to use some of those comments about those plasma bubbles and stuff when I talk to the contest clubs. I mean, I'm not going to relate the fact that there's some successful contest stations under those bubbles, but just the point is, the more stations that get on, the more data we can collect, and the more different areas of the world we can hopefully try to see what the amateur radio effects are in some of these models. So it's all pretty interesting.
Gary, just as a little aside off topic, Nathaniel, it's interesting at some of the clubs and presentations where the members are not familiar with any of this, they just want to help. When you start talking about ionospheric bubbles, it's incredibly interesting, their perception of an ionospheric bubble, anywhere from something like science fiction anomalies to all kinds of interesting things. And I'll leave it at that, but I've had some very interesting reactions when I talk about bubbles up there and trying to define it. And anyway, enough. I won't take your time, but hey, just on a personal note, Nathaniel, thank you so much. Really appreciate the emails and the personal help. And I've got another one I'm going to be sitting off here in a minute. So anyway, I'll turn the meeting back to Gary.
All right, very good, Ron. Yeah, the feedback's always helpful because that's how we improve our presentations too. When we hear what people find interesting, that way we know what to make sure we include. So we're doing well. Okay, is it wrap it up for tonight then? Anybody else got anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay, good, great. We can stop the recording, I suppose. Nathaniel and I want to talk about SEQP scoring a little bit. So
Sounds great.
sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Have a
73.
good week.
There,
In a couple of
everyone.